Hey everyone, recently the guys over at Shad have been using one of my breastplates in their videos to do some testing, and I just wanted to give some feedback as the creator of that breastplate. Now, I'm so happy with how the video turned out, and after years of watching Shad and the other guys, well, I've been watching Shad since it was called I Am Shad, so after years of free entertainment, this was my way of giving something back. And I know they've all been wanting to test a steel breastplate for quite a while. They've mentioned it a few times. So I reached out and I made the offer. Now, do have some comments I want to give, maybe clear up a few things. To start with, the material the breastplate was made out of was 16 gauge hot rolled mild steel. So it's just under 1.6 millimeters. So in terms of the historical accuracy of the breastplate, let's be honest, probably better to consider historical accuracy on a sliding scale. Now, the gold standard at the moment for historical accuracy of testing weapons against armor gotta go to Todd's workshop. However, that breastplate was very expensive. It's a couple of $1,000s worth of armor they were shooting at. And I do not currently have that level of skill, and I couldn't afford to buy it and ship it to them. So there are some historical inaccuracies in the thickness and the material. So while it's not 100% historically accurate, it's definitely better than that Wish.com garbage or Etsy garbage we get that's like, you remember the, what was it, Mail Call or Locked and Loaded, the old History Channel days where they'd get a piece of costume armor that's less than 1 millimeter thick and they'd riddle it full of holes and go, see? English warbow completely destroyed French armor, blah blah blah, not realizing that their version of events from the Battle of Agincourt is based on the movie, not the actual historical events. No, seriously. I've probably seen over a dozen documentaries on the Battle of Agincourt that followed the events from the movie, not the historical battle. It's nuts. But, you know, you know, 16 gauge mod for a bottom tier is not terrible, and to be honest, their goal in that video was not, this is exactly what would have happened historically with a suit of armor. I mean, they were testing it with katanas, sword from Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure what kind of bow that was, the horn one. This wasn't like pure experimental archaeology. Basically, from what I got from it, was they were trying to challenge the idea that armor is tissue paper, like you see in the movies, with everything just goes through plate armor in the movies, unless the plot says otherwise, in which case it's the plot armor doing all the heavy lifting. So, for that purposes, it's decent, but on the sliding scale of historical accuracy, there are better options out there, and so yeah, it's okay. It's decent for a mild steel or raw time breastplate, though historically speaking, a breastplate should be thicker in the middle and thinner at the sides. And as you saw with the ballista test, when they were shooting the war darts at it to try and simulate a ballista, the glancing blows just skated right off, which is why, one of the reasons why they could save some weight by making it a bit thinner at the sides, because it's going to be mostly glancing blows, so it doesn't need to be as thick, and put that metal they save there in the middle where it's actually going to get hit really hard. And of course it's mild steel, which is closer to wrought iron breastplates than, well, it's not like steel, because steel is harder to deform, and iron, mild steel, when it bends it doesn't spring back like tempered steel does. So, you know, it got beat in pretty decently, but if we're being totally honest, yeah, it's not like in the movies where it just gets completely just sliced through or stabbed through or gets treated like it's not there. But honestly, those blows that started to cave it in, or put big like those arrows that put the dents in it, would have been sticking out your back if you weren't wearing it. Those blows that dented it in would have caved in your rib cage. So, you know, honestly, it did its job. It's not going to make you immortal, that great of armor. You are, you know, if you let someone square off against you and give you a full force strike with a poleaxe, well, why did you let them do that? You probably should have been fighting back. Against, like, little, you know, when people are trying to get around your defenses to try and land a blow, would have been way better than not wearing it. So, you know, it's honestly, that definitely did its job for what it was. Now, I want to, oh yeah, I'm holding this thing right here. That armor that I sent away, I did an entire video showing how to make it, and I put the templates, if anyone else wants to try and have a go at making their own, on a new Facebook group called Armour Artist Group. So that's where I'm going to be posting PDFs of my free tutorials so that people can have a go at making their own. This one is my new and improved version, so if you are itching to get started on making your own steel breastplate, maybe hold off just a little bit, because I've got an improved version in the works. But yeah, and of course it's going to have a backplate, so it's going to be a full cuirass. Yeah. Some other things I want to address is the gapping and getting in between the plates. I was certain that they were going to try and get a blade down in between all of these overlapping lanes, which is, so I can guarantee you that that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't already deformed by receiving several really hard hits. Now, it would have been, even though it was opened up, they could have gotten a blade in and it would have been basically just running down your body, not into you. So that, like a sword going like there, not penetrating your body, or even if it just gets you, that's not as lethal as straight through your chest. I hope I don't have to explain that. But I could get this ruler between the gaps, and it's like less than a millimeter. No, this is about a millimeter thick, which is thinner than the swords that they were going to put through it. Because I had a feeling they were going to test that, I made sure that I could not fit one of these. I went around and made sure that those gaps, when I sent it away, were so narrow that a nail like this, like maybe 2 mil thick, yeah, I made sure that this could not get through at any point. This could just squeeze through, but like, that's a lot thinner than a sword, or an arrow, or anything else you'd be using on a medieval battlefield. So yeah, the fact that they were able to get a sword in down through it, that was because the plates had been buckled from previous heavy hits. Which, if you had a spring steel suit of armor, it should have been able to spring back, but then again, the amount of force that it would have taken for those blows to deform the armor would have killed you if you weren't wearing it. So, you know, it still gave you a lot of benefit. Alright, so if you have any further questions on the armor, oh yeah, it's German Gothic from around 1480 1880, similar to some of the ones made by the Helmschmieds. So you're looking at like Holy Roman Empire kind of. Yeah, it's a member of the German Gothic family, but you know, not all German Gothic armor is made in that way. But yeah, if you have any more questions about the armor that I sent away, feel free to ask them. And if you want to have a go at making the improved version, maybe hang around.